Go.
Hello, my name is Churchill Ongere. I work with an organization called Article 19 Eastern Africa, which is part of a global campaign for freedom of expression and access to information. So our participation in the NGO forum and the main session of the Commission is usually targeted around making progressive standards around freedom of expression and access to information known in both online and offline platforms. So our attendance was targeted towards three main areas. First of all, to make oral statements and written statements to the Commission and the NGO forum regarding how to improve the situation of freedom of expression and access to information in the continent. The second agenda was to get to network with other organizations that work on freedom of expression and access to information in the continent, to then forge critical links that can be used to improve the general situation of freedom of expression in the continent. So what you'll see here is organizations like Article 19 coming together with other organizations like the Media Rights Agenda Media Foundation for West Africa to form critical alliances for freedom of expression in the continent. The third agenda was to give an account on the number of cases of attacks on journalists and human rights defenders and to seek accountability for those cases. All right. So the fourth agenda, which wasn't in the critical set of things that we had set out to do, but based on the activities at the NGO forum, seems like something we ought to focus on, is to also present a specific number of cases on impunity that we think ought, that we think ought to be addressed by the Commission. So what we're doing here is saying that between the last session of the Commission and this one, we have realized that the number of cases of attacks on journalists has either increased or decreased, and these are the particular things that we would want states to do to correct that situation. Currently, there are motions within the Commission to revise the Declaration on Freedom of Expression and Access to Information in the continent. So our input in that regard is to say that there's certain critical elements of freedom of expression in an online context that ought to be introduced in the declaration that were not there before. And so what we're saying is, going forward, we will forge critical links with other organizations to make sure that issues like privacy, issues like surveillance are considered into the declaration. Thank you so much, and that's all I have to say for now.